In this lesson, we're going to continue painting our avatar by blending and refining some of our colors and values. So let's go ahead and dive back in. So in the previous lesson, we sampled some more colors from our reference photo and began just roughing those in over our base colors on our avatar. And now we're at a point where we really want to start just refining and blending everything together and also examine how everything is registering visually at a smaller size. So with that said, let's actually go ahead and zoom out really quick just so we can see how everything is looking. And I'm noticing we've got some areas that are looking a little bit too dark, and I probably mentioned this in the previous lesson. This area over here on the screen right may be showing up a little bit muddy and a little too dark, so we're going to want to go ahead and rectify that as we begin starting to blend and refine everything. As we were blocking in our colors, I went ahead and went further and just blocked in some rough values and rough colors for his t-shirt as well as his pen and pencil. So with that said, let's go over here and have a look at our layers panel, and we can see I've made a new layer which I've titled Blend. I also did some further sampling from our reference photo and made another layer which I've titled Palette. So we turn the visibility on for that layer. We can see some of the common colors that we may find ourselves using. So as we begin to refine and really blend everything together, we'll not only be sampling from around our image, but we may want to sample from some of these colors that I've pulled from our reference photo. Now I've gone ahead and reverted our reference photo back to its original state by just taking a few steps back and getting rid of that smart blur filter that I applied. So with that said, let's go ahead and grab our brush tool. And before we start painting or blending anything together, let's open up our brush panel. And I'm going to want to change the type of brush that I'm using. Now we've been using a hard round brush, so if I right click over the canvas, I may want to switch to a soft round brush. And we'll go ahead and turn on transfer for that and making sure we've got pen pressure applied to both flow and opacity. I sometimes like to use a soft round brush set to pressure sensitivity when I begin blending certain things together, certain colors, certain values together. So that may be something you'd want to try out. So we're going to make sure that we're on our blend layer first, and we're just going to start going around and begin just refining different areas of our avatar. And so you'll find me just opening up the brush preset picker just by right clicking periodically, and I'll be sampling quite a bit, just kind of going around. Now this isn't the only one way that you can do this when you're blending. There are a lot of different things that you could use. You could use the mixer brush over here as an option if you just hold down over your brush tool. That's one option you could do, but I kind of like to work this way. Again, this is just a personal preference that I have, and I like to sample quickly, but just by holding down Alt and using that eyedropper tool. And I like to change my brush size quite frequently, so I just like to go around working on these different areas, just starting to flesh them out, kind of smooth them out, kind of trying to get rid of some of this rough blockiness that I've got painted in here. So right now I'm kind of working just around that chin area. I'm kind of thinking about just some of the form and how some of the values are helping me establish the form that I've got going. It's kind of solidifying that slight dimple that he has in that chin of his right there. Kind of bringing a little bit of a highlight from a lighter area that I'm sampling. Again, we'll find ourselves sampling quite a bit just around the image now that we've got a majority of our base colors brought in. Very nice. Let's go ahead and focus on this dark area. It's kind of an area that's been bugging me just a little bit, and I think we just kind of want to lighten it up just a hair, because it was really starting to kind of register as kind of muddy when we would shrink it down. So I'm just kind of coming around, smoothing some of these areas out. I've kind of brought in some lighter values into these dark areas. We don't want to get it too dark. So that's already starting to feel a lot better. In fact, if we go ahead and hide the visibility of our blend layer, we can already see we're starting to make a significant change. And if we shrink our avatar down, we can see that it's reading a lot better already. So let's go ahead and zoom in. We've got some rough areas up here on the forehead, kind of around the eyebrow, the brow area. Just kind of want to clean them up. So we're just kind of going around. Again, I'm just using a soft, one of the default soft round brushes in Photoshop. Again, you can use any kind of brush that suits you. I just don't want everything to look too rough. I want everything to kind of blend nicely together. Again, I'm thinking about how the eye is going to basically see a lot of these colors and values as simple shapes when it's shrunken down. And so once we've got everything starting to blend together pretty nicely, then here in a little while we could switch back over to a hard round brush just to really get some good fine-tuned, some good refinement really in certain areas. Again, this is not the one way that you have to really blend anything together, but it's just a kind of a quick way that I like to work. So that's feeling pretty nice. I may want to kind of bring in a little bit of blue, kind of just a little bit of blue into having a shadow over here on this side of his nose. Not a whole lot. Again, I don't want it too dark, but just a little bit of blue there. And this shadow right around his nose may be just a little too dark. Let's go ahead and zoom out again. Just kind of double checking, seeing how things are looking. I'm thinking the shadow on this core shadow on his nose right here may be a little dark too. Let's go ahead and kind of smooth this area out where the highlight, where these highlights meet the shadow. It's looking a little rough. In fact, this highlight that I have on the bridge of the nose, it may be a little too bright. Kind of trying to focus on some of these areas that may feel a little blown out. I'm kind of thinking the same thing over here on this screen right, or screen left rather, cheek. That highlight that I worked in there may be just a little too bright. Same thing with the temple up here, over here on the screen left. Let's kind of bring in a little bit of a darker value into that. We don't want to blow it out too much. Same thing with the ear over here. Very nice. So it's coming along pretty good. Let's go ahead and zoom out again, and we'll uncheck the visibility of our blend layer and just make a quick comparison. We'll zoom out one more time. So that's starting to register very nicely. Let's go ahead and focus on the hair just for a little while. Again, the hair is looking pretty rough. And I just kind of want to simplify this highlight area over here on the screen right. I kind of want to simplify that into kind of a shape. Again, the eye is going to read a lot of these as shapes. You may not realize it at first, but that's what it's doing at a small size, is it's going to break them down into simple shapes. And if we've got a lot of stuff just going on, a lot of values that are either too dark or areas that are getting too muddy, your eye's going to misinterpret that. It's going to start to put it all together into one unified visual shape. So just kind of smoothing out, blending out some of these different parts. We'll go ahead and come over here. And I think at this point, I'm starting to get a lot of my stuff blended just the way I want. I think I'm ready to switch between brush presets. I'm going to go back to a hard brush. And I'm going to set my hard brush just to transfer. And let's go ahead and continue on here. So I'm just kind of working on this highlight over here to the screen left. And we got some dark hair, some dark shadows right in here, kind of meeting that highlight. So I'm just kind of trying to clean these up. I'm trying to kind of think of them in shapes. Let's go ahead and zoom out again. That's starting to read really well. Very nice. So we're getting pretty close. Again, we just want to keep continuing going around, blending a lot of these colors and values together. And you're just going to, as you do this, whether you're following along or working on your own avatar, just continue to periodically zoom out. Don't get stuck in the mode of looking at everything close up. Definitely zoom out because you're going to see a lot of things that maybe just aren't registering just right. Okay, let's go ahead and stay zoomed out for just a second. I'm going to go back to my blend layer, uncheck the visibility. And things are starting to come together really nicely. I feel like what little we've done, it registers a lot more clearly than before. So what we're going to do in the next lesson is basically finish up some final refinements on our base expression for our avatar and just add some final touches. And we'll also explore coloring our line work just to set it in better with our colors and values that we have going on with this avatar. So we'll see you then.